still has gas in the tank.
You have 10 minutes for your interview. We have our backup going as well as the timer, and you can begin whenever you are ready.
All right, perfect. Hey Simon, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Albert. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I remember talking to you about Stratton. Now we're gonna talk about old guy, and I had
Stratton. No, everyone always forgets about Stratton.
I didn't,
Yeah,
but I
good.
loved old guy was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's all because Christoph Waltz. I don't know. Ever since I saw him in Glorious Bastards, he tends to elevate any
Mm.
film, and he did with this one. So great job on this film.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Well, he did all the work, so that's why I cast him. So he makes me look good because he is fascinating to watch, and that's why I chose him for this because I've seen him in all those other films as well, but seen him be this kind of character, this sort of outrageous, uncontrolled older guy who just can't stop living life like he's 25 years old. So it's fun for me to watch and a lot of fun for him to play.
Yeah, I like the fact that he, like you said it yourself, he's this guy who just doesn't want to let go of what he's doing. He's enjoying the ride, even though it's clearly age has caught up to him, and he's got the little hand injury going on, but yet he hasn't taken this young protege. And him and Cooper Hoffman, I feel like their chemistry was like the heart of the film because even though they're both it's like a buddy action film in a way because he's supposed to be mentoring him, but yeah, he's still stubborn in his own ways, and I think that's what worked between the two. Because of course, Cooper's character is more the brash newcomer who just wants to do what he wants to do, and he doesn't care who gets in the crossfire, basically.
Yeah, I mean that was the fun bit for me was like the boomer versus the Gen Z, culture clash, and that's where a lot of the humor comes from. It's Cooper addresses gender fluid and he has a health regime and as Christoph's character is completely opposite. He drinks, he parties, he eats the wrong stuff, he stays up all night, and this Gen Z kid is like an alien to him, and the last thing he wants to do is teach him. But he's sort of forced into the situation. But because he's, at the heart, you can see he's a good guy and got a big heart. You can see he's like, okay, I'm going to teach him what where I can. But Cooper's character just keeps pushing back, and says, no, I've got all my skills and I don't want any friends. I don't want to
Mhm.
end up like you, washed up. And but that's where the humor stuff, and then Lucy Liu is the referee basically in between, trying to, make the peace between them and make them both understand that maybe they could learn something from each other. And if they just stopped, being, arguing and being pig-headed, that maybe they could get along and they could both have a friend in the world. Because they both do the same job. You usually are quite, make friends with people you work with. And these are, who else could they talk about going on hits with? Because, if there were electricians or plumbers going around, they'd be talking about, their job, but they'd also be arguing about how to do it and relationship stuff. But these guys just happen to be hitmen. So in between these arguments and disagreements, they're going on missions together, and which are life and death. So it isn't like putting in a new water heater. It's like if it goes wrong, one of them could get killed, or
Yeah.
so stakes are a little bit higher, but the discussions and the arguments are about the same. That's what's interesting to me. It's like ordinary world in a very extraordinary setting, ordinary characters, I suppose, in an extraordinary world.
Yeah, and I also found Lucy Liu's character interesting because it's clear that Kristoff's character, Danny, has these feelings for her, but he's always been afraid to admit it, and she kind of always friend zones him, basically.
Mm.
And and then she meets someone. I like the little just a little sidetrack to take a little breather where we learn that she was meeting someone, she was with a guy, and then she ends up getting practically dumped. So it's like, where does she go from here now? Because I think she felt like, in a way, she doesn't have to come between the two guys, have her own life as well and not live that hitman lifestyle, but yet she's kind of forced back
Mm.
into it once the relationship is over.
Mm.
And that's why
Yeah.
that dynamic I found
Well, I
quite
think
interesting.
Yeah, well, I think she is the one that wants to change. She's not happy with her life, whereas those guys are stuck in both in their ruts. They both think they're absolutely right, and the way they're living life is the way it is, and they're both pretty horrendous ways to live. Um, and she's the one that, doesn't wants to change. And so she's looking for, a better life and to get out of this world. And that's sort of heartbreaking in a way because, she realizes that she can't have the dream version of her other life. And but she does end up, you know, I don't know, being having some sort of satisfaction, closure by the end of it. It wasn't what her dream was, but it's she's happy with it. So
Yeah.
and I guess and the happiness sort of goes with all three. They go through horrendous moments in the film, but really it's about the journey of how will they all three of them end up.
Yeah, exactly. And I do like the little twist towards like the midway point where it's revealed exactly why Danny and Wilberg are both involved in the whole grand scheme of things. And I just found that to be chaotic, especially with the third act when something big happens, and of course the mentor now has to decide, am I going to save my student or what? Help him get out of his jam, and that was just brilliant. And I felt like in a way it kind of leaves it open for a possible, maybe we're gonna see an old guy too, maybe. I don't know,
That
but
would be great. I don't
I
know.
would
Yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
be all for it.
yeah, that would be great. I mean, I often think that it's when you've gone through one film, you've sort of learned a lot about those characters along the way, and that you could take it a little, further and like what happened next. Um, but yeah, as long as the script came together and it was even better than the first. That's the thing about sequels have to be better than the first one.
Exactly.
They can't be just the same. So
So
you
that's
go.
yeah, exactly. I think that I totally agree with that. And thankfully we're getting some sequels nowadays that are elevating a bit better, so that's a relief. But then we got
Mm.
the ones that are not too great. But if there is a sequel to Old Guy, I hope it will get elevated and we'll see more of
Mm.
these guys soon.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And maybe I'll be back at the helm.
Yeah. Oh
Great.
no, definitely. I'd love to. I love working with those actors, and we got a similar script that even expanded more, then I'd definitely be interested. Yeah.
So what is next for you after Old Guy? Is there anything you could talk about that you're
I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm always developing like five or six things at once, as you always are, and so I could do a different type of thing. Everything. So maybe next one might be a heist movie, or it might be a fantasy film. Uh, I'm not sure which yet, but just trying to do interesting stuff and trying to do something different from the last one.
awesome? Well, everyone, check out Old Guy on February 21st. This is a wild action comedy, great cast. And Simon, thank you once again for taking the time to talk about it.
You're welcome. Thanks, Albert. Nice to see you.
See you again. Stay awesome.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
You too. Thanks.